Okay, let's unpack this session. You know that feeling when you're trying to get a handle on something new?
Oh, definitely.
Maybe you're diving into a field or just trying to keep up and there's just so much information flying around.
Yeah, it's like drinking from a fire hose,
Right. Yeah.
especially in areas that change fast.
Exactly. Like the notary world we're looking at today can feel overwhelming.
It's true. In any dynamic field, really cutting through the noise to find what actually matters. That's the key.
Precisely. And well, that's why we do the deep dive. You bring the sources, the things you're trying to figure out,
Mm.
and we sift through it together, pull out those key insights, those, aha moments.
Think of it as your sort of personalized filter for the info you need. We add context, highlight the takeaways, but without burying you in detail.
And today, our focus is this recent live session by Ladero. He's a notary pro, shared a lot of experiences, answered
Right,
questions.
from the notary community directly.
Yeah, so this is like your shortcut to the really valuable stuff from that session. We want to distill what he shared, find those key learnings for someone like you who wants to get up to speed quickly, but, properly.
And the source itself is the recording of that live chat. So it's pretty direct, unedited insight into what people are talking about, what questions are coming up right now.
Okay, so quite a bit came out of that session. Where should we even start? Well, one of the first things that seemed really important was Ladero's emphasis on creating a supportive space.
Yeah, that was interesting. He really talked about building what he called a judgment-free zone.
Right.
He specifically said his live sessions and this Notary Buddy community he runs, they're for everyone. Doesn't matter if you're brand new or experienced.
Mm.
And that judgment-free part, well, that seems crucial. It kind of lowers the fear factor for new folks, right?
Yeah.
Makes it okay to ask those maybe basic questions.
Yeah, it's not just for the gurus, as he put it.
And that actually helps everyone learn faster. Even the veterans might pick up a new angle.
Totally. He even showed like a simplified link in his bio to join the community. Really wanted to make it easy.
Yeah.
Highlighting that collaborative idea, learn together, support each other.
It really speaks to how powerful community can be for professional growth, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When people feel safe asking questions, sharing what they're going through.
Absolutely. Okay, so moving on to some real practical stuff. He shared this story about his website.
The SEO discussion.
Yeah, search engine optimization. For anyone maybe not familiar, it's about getting found on Google, basically.
Right.
And apparently some updates he did, like behind the scenes work, actually got his phone ringing more business.
And that's such a clear example, isn't it? The stuff clients don't see directly. The back-end work having a real impact.
Mhm.
Good SEO means more visibility when people search for, say, notary near me.
Mhm.
That leads to calls.
It's a great reminder that it's not always the front-facing stuff. Now, he also talked about something I think a lot of us wrestle with.
Let me guess, after-hours calls.
Bingo! Those business calls that come in when you're officially off the clock.
Yeah, that's always a tough one. Balancing work and life, setting boundaries.
He had a pretty practical take, I thought. Said, it's okay to answer if it helps your schedule. Like if you can quickly book something for later.
Okay, so it's strategic answering, maybe. But what about the downside? Does that risk blurring the lines too much?
That's the tricky part. He didn't really dive into downsides, more the permission aspect.
Maybe having a really clear voicemail helps, stating hours, how to reach for emergencies.
Could be. But his main point was, no obligation. You don't have to be available 24/7. Protect your time.
That is so important. Setting those boundaries is key for, well, not burning out in any job, really.
Definitely. Okay, then the conversation took a turn towards Google Ads.
Yes, and he was pretty blunt about it.
He was. Based on his own experiences, it sounded like. No sugarcoating.
Not at all. What stood out was his realistic approach.
Yeah.
He wasn't selling some dream of instant success.
No kidding. He literally asked, how much are you willing to lose before it works?
Oof, yeah. That really stops you in your tracks.
It reframes it, doesn't it? Not just an ad spend, but an investment with risk.
Exactly. And he mentioned needing to warm up an account.
Right. What does that even mean, warm up?
Well, typically that means building a good reputation with Google, using relevant keywords, having good ad text, a landing page that works well.
Ah, okay.
So your initial spend isn't just about getting calls right away. It's about building that foundation so your ads become more effective, maybe cheaper over time.
I see. And he also stressed it's not a one-time setup.
No, definitely not. Constant testing, management, it takes work.
So his conclusion was basically, yeah, Google Ads can work if you have the know-how, the budget, and critically, the time to manage it properly.
Which fits, right?
Mhm.
Effective digital marketing isn't magic. It takes strategy and consistent effort.
Okay, now this next bit was really interesting, especially for you if you happen to be a notary in Georgia. RON,
Remote online notarization.
which is doing notarizations remotely, using video calls and tech.
And the interesting part here is that Georgia notaries can't actually perform RON themselves.
Exactly. But Ladero found this, well, workaround isn't quite the right word. a strategy.
A resourceful way to still be involved.
Yeah. He explained how he partners with notaries he trusts in other states where Ron is allowed.
Hmm.
So he handles the client intake, connects them with the right out-of-state notary, and then he gets a small fee for facilitating that connection.
Around $10 to $25, he mentioned.
Something like that, yeah. All without leaving home. It's that work smarter, not harder idea he mentioned.
It really shows adaptability, finding ways to offer value even with state limitations. It's clever focusing on coordination, using his network.
Definitely. And that kind of ties into his whole approach to teaching and resources, which seemed very transparent.
Yes, the transparency was noticeable, like offering free resources in the Notary Buddy community.
That stood out, clearly investing in helping others learn.
Which is huge for people just starting, or anyone wanting to broaden their knowledge.
And what I really liked was his honesty about what he knows and what he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He actually said, I don't teach that because I'm not an expert. How often do you hear that?
Rarely. That builds so much trust. It's refreshing, instead of someone pretending to know everything.
Totally. There was even this moment someone asked about witness signature certificates.
Oh, yeah.
And he just pulled up the Georgia Notary Handbook live on screen to check the rule.
Which was brilliant. It shows it's okay not to have it all memorized.
Right.
The skill is knowing where to find the official, reliable answer when you need it.
It normalizes that learning process and just hammers home how vital good resources are. Okay, another topic that popped up. Apostilles.
Ah, yes. Always a source of questions.
For anyone listening, an apostille is basically a special certificate that makes a document official for use in another country under the Hague Convention.
And there's often confusion between what a notary does versus what an apostille facilitator does. They're different roles.
Exactly. Ladero made that distinction clear. Notaries witness signatures, but the apostille authenticates the document itself for international use.
That involves different authorities.
Right. He mentioned in Georgia specifically, you often go through the clerk's authority first.
Not directly to the Secretary of State, which he noted varies by state. So it's a county-level step first in Georgia.
Seems like it, based on what he said. That's a key local detail.
Absolutely crucial to know those state specifics if you're helping clients with international documents. He also mentioned it gets nuanced, right? Different document types.
Yeah, like birth certificates versus, say, school transcripts.
And the destination country matters too. It can change the requirements.
Definitely not simple. Those state details are critical. Now, he also touched briefly on loan signing agents, LSAs.
Even though Georgia notaries can't technically be LSAs in the typical sense.
Right, but it shows he's thinking about the broader audience, people in other states tuning in.
Yeah, being a resource beyond just his state's rules.
So he gave some general pointers for out-of-state folks interested in LSA work. Mentioned platforms, SnapDocs, signing order.
Uh-huh. Those are common ones. And he gave some pros and cons based on his perspective.
Yeah, and even warned about potential hiccups, like chasing payments, unpaid invoices.
Which just reinforces. Do your research, understand the platforms, the role, the potential downsides before diving in.
Good advice. And, throughout the whole thing, it was super clear how much focus he puts on that Notary Buddy community.
Yes, the community aspect felt central. It really highlights how valuable connection and shared resources are in this field, which can be kind of solitary sometimes.
Totally. He was personally welcoming new people who joined during the live chat.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Showed them how to use their GoCollab app, gave a peek inside at the resources sample loan docs, platform training stuff.
It feels very active, very hands-on, like he's really trying to build that supportive network.
Makes it more than just a place to find info. It's like an active support system.
Exactly. And then he kind of wrapped things up talking about mindset, specifically marketing and revenue transparency.
That was interesting. Framing things like RN of facilitation as an ethical way to make money from your expertise, even when regulations stop you doing the core task yourself.
Right, leveraging what you can do.
And then he actually shared his earnings breakdown for that day.
Whoa, really? Like actual numbers?
Yeah. Direct appointments, facilitation fees, the total. He said being open like that builds trust.
Wow, that is transparent. It gives people a real look at potential income streams, and it models that ethical approach he talks about.
So thinking about you, our listener, trying to get a grip on the notary world from this, what are the big takeaways?
Good question.
Well, a couple of things really jump out. First, that idea of smart income generation.
Yeah, the facilitation example.
Right. Finding ways to use your knowledge, your network, even if rules limit direct action. Adapting.
Absolutely. Being resourceful within the framework you have.
And the second big one, knowing your state's rules inside out. Or maybe not inside out, but knowing where to find the official answers instantly.
Crucial. You don't need it all memorized, but you absolutely need to know how to look it up reliably.
That focus on resourcefulness, continuous learning, it's essential.
Definitely. It's not static.
So thinking about Ladero's whole model community, transparency, resource sharing, what other kinds of professional fields do you think could really use something like that?
That's a really interesting question to ponder. This whole deep dive into just one person's approach, it really underscores that need for constant learning, adapting to your specific situation. It makes you wonder, what's one area that you, listening right now, are curious to maybe dig into a bit deeper?